Hey everyone, this is Steve here with another CG Geek Blender tutorial. This one is part 2 of our character creation of Olaf the Snowman from Frozen in Blender. So last time we finished off the head and did the difficult part of modeling the head and the mouth and the eyeballs and everything else. And now it's time to do some easy stuff and fill him out with the rest of his body real quick. It'll help give us an idea of the perspective and the shape and size of him, and it will help finish off the rest of the body and tweak it the way we need to. So I'm going to quick turn on proportional editing there, and let's pull that up a little bit there to give him a little bit of a flatter bottom there. And then I'm going to add in a sphere for his body there. So Shift A added a UV sphere. You can see that this is going to be duplicated because of clipping. And our mirror modifier, but that's okay. We don't have to really worry about that. What you might want to do is just select that middle line on Olaf, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then when we add in the UV sphere, it'll be right smack in the center there. If you turn off proportional editing, you can pull it down just the way we want it. All right, so this might be more vertices than we need, so I might just put my cursor there so I have the spot remembered, delete it. Shift add a UV sphere, and this time let's take our segments down to 16 by 12, 16 by 8. That might be better. Yeah, that should be fine. So we'll just tab out edit mode, smooth those all out with smooth shading there in our toolbar, and then let me scale it up a bit, and then go into proportional editing, connected. Let's grab that top vertice, pull it down to flatten it off a bit, and then that one too, to kind of flatten that one up. And there we go. Scale it down a little bit, pull her up, and we got a pretty nice looking body section. Proportionate wise, it should be good actually. It looks pretty good. Not too bad. Let's just leave that and do the other one real quick. Shift D, pull it down. We'll scale this one up a bit and kind of make this one a little bit more rounded. So just using proportional editing can give you the nice shapes you're looking for. You can see we need to pull it back here to be on his body there. All right, and he's a little bit too tall. So I think we pulled that one up a little bit too much. All right, and then I think the whole thing could go up on his body a little bit more there. There we go. It's not too bad. He's still a little bit tall looking to me. Maybe his head is just a little bit too long, but we could try scaling this up just a little bit, moving him up a little bit. Maybe grab this edge loop here and kind of pull it down a little bit so he's a little bit more bottom heavy. A little bit more like so. Maybe scale that one up a little bit there as well. Okay, and maybe just grab that, scale it a little bit, pull it in, and voila. It's not looking too bad. These might need to come down just a tad. Not bad. They're a little bit too far back on his body now, I believe, so we'll pull them in there, like so. And that's looking pretty decent. So now for his feet, these are very easy. We can simply duplicate one of these, pull them over to the side. If we turn off clipping, that is, pull them over to the side, scale them down, and we need to kind of shape these now. The bottoms of them need to be a little bit flatter, so do something like that with proportional editing on, and pull them up a little bit like that, and let's just kind of grab that bottom rim there and scale it a little bit, and you get those nice little feet. Those are probably the easiest part to do on Olaf. We'll just scale them down a little bit to about the right size, and plop them in there. That should be pretty good for the feet actually. So there we go. We're getting the nice body coming along with Olaf. Let's grab that verse in there, kind of pull it down a little bit. Okay, let's grab this one, pull it down a little bit too. You want to make it look like the snowball is slightly egg-shaped, and this one looks actually off a little bit. It's supposed to be a little bit heavier down here and a little bit thinner up here for snowball. That looks better. Not too bad. And we're getting a nice looking body shape coming along with Olaf. Alright, so one thing here that looks a little weird, I think his jaw here comes down a little too far. Let's just pull that up there and scale her inwards. Yeah, maybe these verses need to scale in. Whoops. We need to turn clipping back on now. Just need to scale these in a little bit there. And you can scale the ones at the bottom here up a little bit. There we go. There we go. And now we can just grab his whole head and tooth and eyeball. Just hit an L and pull it down onto his body. That looks a little bit better. A little less head high. Okay. So that's looking pretty cute. Let's add in, let's do his arms real quick, because that looks like they're missing. So, well, no, let's do his nose next. His carrot nose. That's fun. So for his carrot nose, I'm going to just move to a different layer, so we don't have to worry about doing it on top of him. And I'm just going to Shift S, cursor to center, so we're nice and organized there with our cursor in the center view. And I'll Shift A, add in a, well, I think we could probably do it with a cylinder, but let's use a circle and extrude it out so we have a little bit more control over it. We'll give it, well, 12? Would 12 be enough? Yeah, 12 should be enough. And we'll rotate that 90 degrees, so it's along the side view like that. Tab into edit mode. Let's extrude from one side, turn proportional editing off, turn it completely off. There we go. Oh, to turn it off, pull it over. We'll scale her down a bit. And now I'll go back and add in a few edge loops here and there, giving it a little bit of variation and scale. All right, let's go ahead and remove, or not remove doubles, but smooth, and then recalculate the normals. Because this was a circle and we extruded it the way we did, the normals got messed up. So if I just tab into edit mode and go shading UVs there in the tab, you can go recalculate. Basically, anytime you're working on your mesh and you see black like that, it means the normals are basically facing the wrong direction. And to fix that, you just select it all and recalculate, and it'll point them outwardly like you want. All right, so let's finish up the tip of the nose here. Let's extrude that, pull it out, scale it down, extrude it one more time, pull it out, scale it down to a nice small tip there. We'll just face that off. Don't have to worry about that being a whole face. It's not going to be an issue. It's so small. And then we'll just kind of fill it out there. Alrighty, maybe pull that out. Whoops, pull it out just a tad bit further. Cool. Let's not select that. Let's select this, scale it up a little bit, extrude it out, scale it, extrude it out, and scale it down for the back end of that carrot. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and add a subsurf on it. Crank it up a few notches. We might be able to scale this up just slightly now that we did that. Not too bad. Maybe that was a little bit too much. Scale it down just a little bit more. And let's give it a little bit more variation here. Maybe go to top view now and give it a little bit of curve. If I just turn proportional editing on, this would be easy to do, like a little bit of a natural curve in the carrot. It looks good. There we go. All right, so we got a good looking carrot shape there. Not too bad. Kind of look at his carrot there. Maybe make it a little bit wider at the back end here. We'll add a edge loop there. And let's just scale these along the X a little bit. Okay. And we'll scale them up just a little bit wider at the back end there. And that's looking pretty nice. Not too bad. What do we have going on here? Okay, yeah, we'll scale this up a little bit there. All right, so let's give this carrot a little bit of some deforming. We don't have to really worry about the back end here. We can face that off. Doesn't really matter. We're not going to see it. So you're going to want a lot of subsurf on it. I'll go ahead and add another one. And then we're going to add a displacement. You can see it just makes it really large right now. You're going to go New Texture. And then if you switch to your Texture tab right here, you can see it's set to Image or Movie under your Displacement texture. So we want to change that. I think what I ended up using was actually a wood texture, believe it or not. And you want to use ring noise. and you can see this kind of rings it down. And if I change the size, well, let's not change the size here. Let's go to our modifiers here now and take the strength way down. You can see you kind of get the rings going along the carrot like you should. So if I put a few more edge loops in here, I can get a little bit more detail. We'll just do that. And you can see what I'm saying by the rings giving it that nice realistic carrot look. So we can tweak our texture a little bit here, make it a little bit bigger. 0.3, 0.35 maybe. Right. And okay, you don't want to go too big. Maybe just a 0.3. Play around with the turbulence a little bit too. Keep it from looking too uniform. But just a little bit of this can help. And then you can take the strength down even more to about a 0.02. And that's not too bad. The scaling is a little bit small. Let me see if I can't fix that by... Alright, we'll just leave that as global. You don't want to leave that global because then it'll change when it's animated. Go local. And that'll be better. Okay, so a little bit of that's good. And now I want one more displacement for larger, smaller, not larger, smaller, but just some bigger bumps that are not real noticeable but add a little bit of detail. So, new displacement and new texture. Go here. We see we have texture 2 now. Grab that one. We'll make this one clouds. Okay, so choose clouds. And give a little more depth. And then if we come down here to our new one here that has clouds, we'll just take the strength down a little bit on that. And we get some nice changing variation there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Crank the scale up a little bit. Cool. Not too bad. Maybe change the strength just a tad now. And turn that down just a little bit, and then turn the size up a little bit more. And there you go. You get some nice variation. Don't go over the top too much. Too much is no good. But that's pretty nice looking. Maybe just change the strength a little bit. But that should do it. So there's our carrot with our displacements. You could crank the detail up even more with the resolution there. And maybe adjust the strength a little bit. This still might be a little strong. Just take that down a little bit. But there you go. I'm going to turn that down for the viewport, but leave it up for the render. And let's move this over to our character. Move it, just hit M and move it to layer 1. And then here we go. Let's just rotate that 90 degrees negative from the top view. Place it right around the right spot. Pull it up and scale her down. And it's just like in the movie, poking the carrot through the back of the head and onto our character. So there you go. Once you have it here, you may want to tweak it a little bit with the scaling, just to kind of give it the look you're looking for. But, there we go, scale it down a little bit, pull it out some more. Pull it out just a little bit more, pull it down. Yeah, it's not hard, and is actually one of the easier parts of this tutorial. And you get some really cool looking results. So it's a lot of fun. Let me just play around with that a little bit. And you have a nice carrot. Give it a little bit of character, and there you go. You have Olaf and his carrot nose. Let's scale the tip down there a little bit. Cool. There you go, and it looks more like Olaf already once you add the nose. I think the mesh here might be a little bit big still. If that was scaled down a little bit, it might look a little bit better. But, yeah, his cheeks might be coming out a little bit too much there, too. It's cute, though. That's why I went ahead and left it. But if you wanted to pull those in a little bit, be a little bit more okay, it would be fine. There we go. So, he's coming along quite nicely. Not bad. Let's do the arms now. That's another pretty easy section. Let me scale that down just a little bit there. There we go, and then pull that down a little bit. Scale that down a little bit. Alright, that looks looking good. Looking good. Back of his head here is coming out a little bit far. Might just have to pull that in a little bit. And there we go. So for the arms, those are pretty simple. But again, I'm going to go to a separate... I guess I'll stay in this layer for this. Let's just tab into edit mode. Find the vertices area we want the arms. And, well, hey, let's just grab a face from here to start with. Grab that face there, Shift D it, put it up there, and go P, separate it by selection. So now it's own object. And, well, we can leave mirror modifier on for now. What the heck? Might as well. And let's just rotate that face, scale her down a little bit. And this will be our arm. So extrude it out to get about the right length. All right. And let's turn off proportional editing for this. Control R, put a cut in, pull her back to the proper section there, tighten it up a little bit. Let's scale that face down a little bit there. And then let's do the same thing for the top here. Control R, put a cut in there, pull it up, scale it down a little bit now. And let's go ahead and add the fingers. So you can see he has a thumb up higher, which we could use this face right here for. So just grab that face actually, kind of rotate it outwards a little bit, and extrude out the thumb. So very easy. Control R, tighten that up. Control R, tighten this up a little bit. Give it some variation by scaling this a little bit maybe. Something like that is kind of cute. There we go. And let's extrude the hand out a little bit further here. All right. This can be scaled along the y-axis a little bit to be a little bit fatter. And he has 3 fingers, so I'm going to need 3 faces, basically, to achieve it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this once further, and instead of cutting it down the center, which would mess up my my subsurf, rounding it over nicely, I'm just going to grab this face, pull it in, grab this face right there, and pull that in. And then kind of grab these 2 faces, or I'm sorry, I'm saying faces, these are edges. You kind of pull them outward. So you can see I have 3 faces here that can be 3 fingers now. So we want to make these pretty squared off looking though. So something like that. Looks pretty decent. And now we can just grab it, extrude out a finger there, extrude out a finger there, and extrude out a finger there. Super easy to do that. And it looks really good. We just need to add the cuts like we did before to give them the sharp fingers. Okay. And then the cuts at the ends there as well to give him the fingers. So there you go. He has some nice looking fingers. Just kind of play around with the faces. Get the right shapes you're looking for. Kind of want to pull those up a little bit. Yep, this one's still a bit chubby. We'll just pull him up there, and there we go. So some nice faces. They look pretty nice, actually. I'm pretty happy with these fingers, and they weren't much work. So now you want to add in some variation along the arm. You don't want it to all look the same. We'll do this with a few edge loops, and then just scaling them. Control R, kind of a little bend there, scale it. Maybe like a little knob, not like a finger, but just a tiny little knob can be cool looking. I did that. So do something like that, and then here we'll scale this face down a little bit, pull it in a little bit, and then give him a little knob there. Boom, and then Control R, tighten that up a little bit. So that's kind of cute, and looks just kind of cool. We can kind of, whoops, let's not select those. Let's go vertice select. And just kind of reposition that down a little bit. Not too much bend, but it looks pretty nice. Not too bad. Maybe grab these vertices here, kind of pull them inward. And we want to kind of put enough faces in here that it will look okay when we add our displacement modifier, which I'm going to do in a second. So fill it out with enough faces that, or I'm sorry, edge loops. Something like that. Let's grab that there and kind of pull it up. Let's turn proportional editing out for this. There we go. Kind of pull that in there. Grab that skillet. down a little bit, pull it back, pull it up. All right, that looks pretty decent. Not too bad. All right, so now we'll get on to adding the displacement to the hand. All right, so first let's kind of fix this finger here. Looks like it's a little bit pinched there. Oops, just pull it out. And let's go top view. Pull it that way a little bit. All right, it looks pretty good. It's supposed to be rustic, you know. So you don't have to be picky. That's the fun part about this. But that finger there might be just a little big. Scale it. Pull it back a little bit. Yeah, and this might be sticking out just a little too far. All right. So for the displacement on this now, I'm going to do similar to the carrot. Just add in a displacement modifier, new texture, switch to our texture tab, select the displacement texture right there. And this image and movie, we want to change that to be clouds. You can see we get that. We want to crank the depth up, take the size down a little bit, maybe in this case, and then take the strength way down. So see, you get just a little bit of that coming in, but it adds quite a bit. That's too little. Something like that. And if you wanted to add a second subsurf over the top here, and then another displacement, you could get some really fine small details by doing that as well. So grab my second texture there, and let's just crank the size of that down a little bit more. Turn the depth up a little bit. Okay. And you could take the strength to be something even smaller than the first one, but you get some real small details coming in there then. If you crank that up, you can see that. You get that. So that's what you would do for the finer detail. I'll just turn that down a little bit. And that doesn't look too bad at all. So let's position those arms. Give them some nice looking hands. Scale them down just a little bit. And place them right on in there. Something like that. So you can see he can touch his toes, so they have to be big enough that he can touch his toes. That's important. Okay, so let's just pull him forward a little bit there. And there we go. We got some nice hands. Let's rotate him forward a little bit there as well. And kind of position him like so. Not bad. Some nice fingers. I think if I double tapped R, kind of turned him inward a little bit there. There we go. Now you kind of rotate him back. And let's rotate him that ways. Cool. So there's his little wooden stick hands. They're kind of cute. And we can apply this mirror modifier and add a variation over to the second side. That's what you'll want to do before you finish that up. But I don't need to worry about that quite yet. What I need to worry about is getting ready to finish his face. I think his eyeballs are a little bit big. I think that's making him look just a little bit on the creepy side. So with proportional editing on, let me scale his eyeballs in a little bit there. And then you want them to be as close together as possible without touching. So we'll pull him in there all the way, like so. And then his whole head can come in a little bit from all sides, I think. Just kind of pull it down. Let's go connected for this on the proportional editing. And pull it down a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit better. All right, so we could do his eyebrows. And we need to put his rocks on his chest there too. But besides that, we're getting pretty close. His little twigs come out the top. Let's do the rocks on his stomach though. Those are going to be pretty fun. Those should be pretty easy as well. So again, let's just choose the vertex there we want them to be. Cursor to selected. Boom. And let's go to a different layer for this. And we'll Shift A. And I'll do this with a cube because I'll do this with an icosphere because I'm going to use a little bit of multi-res sculpting to get this. So we're going to go to sculpt mode. We're going to choose sculpt draw for my brushes, and then I'm going to go Dino typology, enable it. We're going to go consistent detail. Basically, it will be the same detail no matter how far we're zoomed in on it. And let's start with like a 90 and see how that looks. Okay. This isn't really changing anything in the detail too much. If I take it down a little bit, you can see it starts subdividing it and adding more detail. So I think maybe a 75 would be good. There we go. And basically, I'm just going to kind of sculpt out some stones. So right now it's round, actually a little bit unround because I added to it. So I'm going to hold Control, and this will basically subtract from the mesh when I hover over it like that. So you can do that to kind of cut back the mesh. There we go. And why don't we choose smooth shading there as well? And maybe 70 would be a little bit better. Okay, so to kind of rotate around your stone, if you're having difficulty doing that, you can hit period, and it will basically center it around whatever you have selected. So that's a little tip for you guys. All right, so kind of flattening out the stone a little bit there. Nice. Let's make it not look so round by adding in some detail along the top and the sides. If you don't want it to be copying it on both sides, you want to turn off. Well, wait a minute. What do we have? If you go down symmetry right here, we have X mirror on. You want to uncheck that, and now it won't be mirroring it on both sides. There we go. So you can also hit S, switch over to smooth, kind of smooth over the corners, and then X twice will bring sculpt draw back up. So there's a pretty nice stone, actually. I'm pretty happy with that stone. Don't have any complaints. We'll just kind of pull it out a little bit there. And that stone should do it. Simple, but effective. So what we're going to do with these stones is we're going to add a modifier. That's going to be subsurf. Crank it up. And then we're going to add another modifier, and you guessed it, displace. New texture. Texture tab. I'm going to grab our displaced texture there. We're going to change it to clouds. And we're going to do, let me see. Well, no, not clouds. In this case, we might want Varani, because this is going to be more of a harsh edge. So let's do Varani, or Varani, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Turn it up a little bit, and let's change the strength to be a little less. Yeah, something like that. It's kind of good. Still not quite there yet. I want to tweak the texture so it's more black and white, and not quite so harsh. So if you choose color ramp, you can kind of do that. Maybe get more what we're looking for. Some interesting results. The strength is still too high on our stone here too, though. So we can play around with this a little bit, but we don't want to affect it too much. And let's take the size down on the Varani a bit. Something like that. Maybe a little less black would be good. Too strong isn't super good. There we go. And now we can take our strength down even further. We'll go with 0.6. And you can see it gives us just that nice little detail. And if you crank your subsurf up high, you get more. But not too bad. That's pretty good. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like on our model. We just need to scale him down a bit. There we go. Kind of place him in there a little bit more. Rotate it. And that looks pretty good. So we'll take this one, put it down there, maybe rotate it, pointing downwards a little bit. Go to side view, rotate it, there we go. Duplicate it, pull it up there, rotate it as well. And scale this one a little bit maybe. And then same thing, duplicate it, pull it up there, pull it in to the stomach, scale it, and rotate it. Alright, so there's the pebbles. Now we just need to go into sculpt mode on each of them. With our sculpt draw brush enabled whatever you call it. It says keep the modifiers. Oh yes, we have to these aren't supported in Dino topology. So what we can do is we can just remove the modifiers actually. Let's just quick do that. Grab those, remove the modifiers off the ones we duplicated. We'll just copy them and put them back there once we tweak the shape. Let's go back to sculpt mode. Enable Dino topology. There we go. And scale the brush down a little bit with F. There we go. Smooth shading's on, and now we can kind of let me grab my brush, sculpt draw. There we go. Turn the strength up a little bit. Still not seeing the results. Not seeing it do anything. Let me quick see. Oh, I had that one selected. Okay, select that run. Sculpt draw. And now we can shape our rock. So yeah, just draw out a little bit of a different shape. Hold control. Maybe take this corner back a little bit. And give it some variation. That looks nice and a little bit different. So once you're happy with it, we'll just move on to the next one. Grab that one and switch to sculpt mode. You'll have to enable the dino topology again, but the settings are kept, so we're good to go. We can just kind of tweak this one now as well. Pull it over there, pull it up a little bit. Cut away at some areas, holding control. And give it some variation so it doesn't look repetitive. There we go. It's not too bad. All right. And go object mode. And we'll just select all three of these. Whoops. Stay in object mode. Select all three of these. Selecting this one last. Not the character. Whoops. Option H. I accidentally hid my model there. Let's select that rock, then that one, and then the bottom one. And we'll just go Control L. Make links. Modifiers. And now they all have the stone modifier applied to them. So there's the cute little stones on his stomach there. That looks pretty nice. One thing I think needs to be tweaked on the mesh. You know, I'm going to constantly be doing this, but I think that needs to come down a little bit. Good. And I think his whole head actually might need to come down a little bit too. There we go. Good. You just don't want to tweak. You don't want to move his eyelids too much. And here, and lose that detail. So you can't have the proportional editing too strong. All right, that's looking kind of cute. Not too bad. A little better, maybe. If you hit 5, you can see what it looks like. Not too bad in perspective mode. I think his mouth might still overhang here a little bit, though. A little bit too much. Let's just grab his tooth and that, and kind of pull that in a little bit. Yeah. Pull his nose back a little bit there. That's a little better. Maybe we can even pull his whole top of his nose down a little bit. There we go. And then the carrot, maybe rotate that down a little bit. Sitting in there nicely. And that's looking pretty fancy. We got Olaf coming along perfectly. So last little detail on the modeling phase, I think, is his little twig coming out the top of his head. I think everything else is there for the most part. We can get into adding the materials. You know, we'll continue to tweak the mesh too, probably, but that's something that you will probably want to continue to do. Just kind of running out of time for tweaking at this point. But yeah, I'll quick put those twigs on the top of his head, show you how I did that. And then we'll call it good for the modeling, I guess, and we'll move on to the texturing in the next part. So for the twigs on top, what I did is I just used the sapling add-on. So let's just put our cursor at the top there, Shift S, cursor to selected, and we need to enable our add-on. You can see, first off, the little issue with his eyelids here, his eyelids aren't going all the way up to his eyeballs. So with proportional editing on connected there, we'll just kind of pull his face in to match that. And if you need to do that, it's not hard. You can do that to pull it out, though, as well, in areas like this where it might be a little too close to his face. And just kind of get that worked out. There we go. Not too bad. Alright, that looks a little bit better. So, yes, we need to enable an add-on now for that twig. So we're going to go User Preferences, Add-ons, and type in Sapling Add-on. You have this add-on here. You just want to check that box, and you'll have it enabled. So with our cursor still there, we go Shift S, and now if we go to Curve, we have the option to add a tree. So go ahead and do that. Your settings will pop up at the bottom of your toolbar. Just pull that up a little bit there. Choose Bevel. And we want a very small tree, so we're going to take the scale all the way down. Alright. And let me just quick jump over to branch splitting now. We don't really need any more resolution or anything like that. Branch splitting. We give it two levels. leave it at that, but give it a few base splits. We'll go 3. And then segment splits. This is something you want to crank up a bit too. A little bit on each of those. And then the number of branches can go way down, something just like 12. So you don't need too many of those. All right, let's just tweak these a little bit more. One thing to keep in mind is you do not want to click off of this, or you'll lose all of your tree settings. So if you have your tree settings set up here, you don't want to click off of it. All right, so the radius of the base is too big here. So let's take the base size here down, so we get the branches coming all the way down to the bottom there. Cool, and that should be enough, because we're not going to be even using this many. We'll be deleting a bunch of the curves. So that's all we need. So once we're satisfied with it, go ahead, select it, tab into edit mode, and let's just delete some of these curves that we don't want. Like that center one there, it's too big. We'll delete it. And let's just grab everything else for now and pull it down. Okay. Not too bad. We just need to tweak it a bit. Let's grab... Let's have connected on and kind of pull these out a little bit. Grabbing him at the base there, because he has a few branches here. All right, let's convert these over to meshes. So we'll go Alt C and convert mesh from curve. So now we have meshes. Very good. So let me grab this one, this one, this one, this one. Just using L to select whatever branches you want, and grab a few of them. Like so. That's all I need, really. Okay, and this will be one. We can pull this down. There we go. Nice and small. Kind of rotate it outwards. Maybe scale it up just a little bit. And there we go. We have too many branches, so we're going to be deleting some of them. Let's just delete this whole one right here. We don't need any of... Whoops, I'll select that. This one right here. We don't need any of these. Well, actually, I kind of like this branch here, so Shift L will deselect if you hover over it. Let me just get that right there. Shift L. Can't get that one. Shift L. We'll just box unselect it with middle mouse wheel. There we go. And let's just select these up here as well. Boom, 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 and delete all those. Too many to worry about. Then we'll just grab these, rotate, pull it down. So basically, we're just picking and choosing a few branches off this that we liked, grabbing them, rotating them around, and sticking them down in his head. Like so. So I like this one, I like that one. And let's just rotate it like so. There we go. And we'll delete the base to this one here because I don't need it. We'll see what else we got in here that we might want. Let's just grab these two and a few of them off on top of it. There we go. That should be it. So we'll pull that down there as well and get it in position. And we can delete all these other crazy ones that are in the way up here. Get them out of the way so they're not blocking our view. And this one here, this is not something we're using. So to take the branches you want, delete the branches you don't want. I don't want that either. Boom. X, delete all those. Okay, so we have these 3 branches here. Get rid of you. And these will work perfectly for his little twigs on the top of his head. So we'll just kind of rotate that out. Let's deselect this branch with our select there. And let's move this up and kind of rotate it. So it's all kind of pointing upward. Okay, you can see that's looking pretty decent. Just scale them up a bit. There we go. Okay. I'll select this branch, not that one. These back here. Kind of rotate them better. Oops, don't hide them. Option H unhides if you accidentally hide something like that. And this one's rotated at a weird angle too, so we'll just rotate this. Oops, I hit it again. I always hit H when I go for G. Alright, so there we go. Let's scale that one up a little bit bigger. This one will be the tallest. There's his little offspring of branches growing out of his head. Yeah, perfect. So we'll just kind of position that like that. Pull it out a little bit. Rotate it outwards a little bit. And cool. So there's his branches, and they look great. Maybe just a little small. You can scale them all at once. And let me just rotate that. There we go. So there's his branches, and there's your Olaf character. So that should, I think, wrap it up. Should wrap up part 2. And part 3 will be the materials, of course. But there's our Olaf Frozen character, ready to be worked with. I think his head needs to be rotated backwards. I just got the... Let's just do that real quick. Rotate it backwards slightly. There we go. Boom. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, that's our Olaf character, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the modeling process and learned quite a bit in character development. And next part, we'll be adding the materials and having them all come together. We have to also add the eyebrows, but we'll do that. We'll do that in part 2 or 3, I guess it is going to be. But that should do it. So, hope you guys have enjoyed the series this far, and feel free to continue to tweak your mesh to your satisfaction. But that is gonna do it, and I'll see you guys in the next part. So, bye bye.